Okay, this generic, if you understand, you can easily understand the collection framework, because the collection framework totally it is focusing on this particular generic. Okay, now you can think how much this particular generic is important. And after this, now we are going to discuss about the string handling. Getting the point. So inside this particular string handling, we have a different types of classes like a string buffer and a string builder. Each and every class we have a specific method. The each method it is going to provide the different kinds of purposes here. Okay, now we will try to discuss about the one by one method, how it is going to work internally. Now you can imagine this string is also one of the important section in the day-to-day development here. Getting the point. So day-to-day development, we'll try to write the string related example, and we'll write the exception lining, and we'll try to implement on the this particular generic here, and we'll try to discuss about the packages and interfaces. So these are all the very important concepts here, because in a once you are moving into the any organization, you are going to write this in the regular basis here. Okay, now you can think how much it is important. And finally, we'll try to discuss about the one of the important example and collection framework here, how this particular collection framework it is going to work internally. Okay, so here we have a different types of interfaces, and we'll try to discuss about the interfaces and the classes. What are the different classes are implemented, and along with that classes, what are the interfaces are implemented. Okay, now I'm trying to move about the Spring related concepts here. Observe carefully. In the Spring, we'll try to discuss about the important sections here, like what are the why the Spring is introduced. So what are the drawbacks of the previous languages, or we can call it as the frameworks here. Okay, and we'll identify after identifying the previous drawbacks here. Later we'll discuss about the versions here, like what are the different versions we are having, like 2.4, 2.0, 2.5, and 3.2, 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0. So these are all the different versions we are going to discuss here. We'll see. So if I'm not following the exact versions here, what kind of the exceptions we are going to discuss here. Getting the point. So we'll see these sections in the daily day-to-day sessions here, but observe we'll try to cover up the all the versions. And after this, we'll try to discuss about the core technologies. What are the core technologies we are going to cover? Mainly the main IOC container. Without the container, we are not going to write single line of statement in our Spring framework. So now you can think here how much this particular container is important. So we have a two types of container. We'll try to cover up the one by one, how it is going to work internally. So along with the container, we are going to provide the much information about the bean creations, how these particular beans are created internally. What are the steps we need to follow to create a bean here? Getting the point. So basically in the Spring framework, we are not going to create any object, but we'll try to share the information to the container, what kind of the object we are expecting here. Okay, so to perform the various operations, what kind of the object we need. So those information we are going to provide with help of the XML configurations, as well as we are going to provide with help of the annotations here. Okay, if you're trying to develop any applications in the recent years, all the applications are developing in the annotations here. So in the legacy application, if you observe, they used to implement the application with the help of the XMLs, but XMLs are like it's going to give the performance wise is faster compared to this particular annotation, but we need to follow a lot of syntaxes to implement the application in the XML here. So the XML it is going to increase if I are trying to write the lot of syntaxes inside the XML. Because of that, we have a different types of annotations. We'll try to cover up the annotations. So nowadays all the annotations based applications are developing here. Okay, now you can think here how much this particular annotations as well as XMLs are important here. Okay, so this is, we need to understand this particular code, and coming back to this particular dependencies, we need to understand what are the dependency injections we have. So we'll try to identify the constructor dependency and setter based dependency inject. So this is very important here, because in any application you are writing or you're migrating or you're trying to write a simple program, everything is going to work with the help of this particular dependencies here. So either we need to follow the constructor or we need to follow the setter dependency injection here. Okay, we'll try to cover up with multiple example how this particular dependency injection is going to work internally. And after this, we'll try to discuss about the bean scope. what are the different types of scopes we have, and we'll try to cover up the one by one. What is the differences between each scope, how it is going to work internally. Okay, so as I explained here, we have a different types of annotations we are going to use it. So this is the introduction about the annotations here. But once we completed the Spring, we can easily understand what are all the different types of annotations we have and what is the purpose of each annotations here. Okay, so coming back to the resources. So as of now, you cannot understand what exactly this resource will do. So basically, if you're trying to this particular resource, we are going to use inside the Bean Factory. Bean Factory is one of the our container. So container is depending on this particular resource. We'll see with the example how this particular resource are going to use internally. Okay, so same thing like a validation. So validations basically, whenever you're trying to work with like a front-end applications, the username should contain some characters or length of characters, uppercase, some lowercase. If you miss the particular pattern, we are going to throw the validations here. Okay, it's like a required fields we are going to maintain, like the required related information, as well as if the username is like exceeded the number of characters, whatever the characters we are going to provide. So in that case also, we need to throw the validation messages here. Okay, so those sections will cover up under this particular Spring 3 validation. So now after this, we'll move on to this particular data access. Data access basically will try to connect with the databases to store the data, whatever the application we are going to implement here. Okay, so here we'll try to cover up with the different templates here, like one of the template like JDBC template. Later we'll discuss about the named parameter, and finally we'll discuss about the Hibernate. First, we'll come up with the basic introduction about the Hibernate, how it is going to work internally. And finally, we'll connect with the Spring with Hibernate. So how the integration part we can do with the help of this particular Spring. So everything we are going to discuss inside this particular data access. And same thing now you can see, if you are trying to connect with the JDBC, these are all the different template we are going to use. And the same way, if you are trying to connect with the ORM related tools here, like Hibernate or JPA, how we are going to discuss. This is the different database frameworks we have. We'll try to discuss one by one. And later, and using this particular web services, email and JMS, we are going to send a notification related sections here. How the notifications is going to work internally with the help of this particular Spring. We'll discuss about this particular remote web services related sections here. And finally, we'll move on to the web. Web basically, it is a MVC related applications we are going to develop here. So inside the MVC, we'll write the like UI related frameworks as well as the backend related sections here. So everything it is going to integrated with the help of this particular MVC. So whenever we are trying to send in a request from the browser, so how it is going to communicate it to our application.